How are you, friends? I hope you are all doing well. Today we're going to talk about something that truly bothers me deep down, because I've lived through this situation myself and I've seen it happen around me dozens of times. And every time I saw it, I thought, I wish someone had told me this sooner. You were earning more than you were 5 years ago, maybe a lot more. But you look at your bank account, and the balance is almost the same. Financial stress hasn't gone away. The real goals, the ones that will change your life, feel just as far away as they did when you were earning less. You upgraded the apartment, you changed the car, you refreshed the wardrobe, you started spending more at restaurants, you increased your subscriptions. Everything rose alongside your income. And somehow, despite earning more than ever, you feel just as stuck as before. Meanwhile, you read about people who earn less than you but have six-figure investment portfolios. While your peers are buying homes, you're still trying to build a meaningful emergency fund. You wonder what they know, what system they use, what secret you're missing. Here is the uncomfortable truth. There is no secret. There is only a system, a specific allocation method for every dollar that enters your account. The rich manage money better, not because they have more. They have more because they manage it better. Habits come first. Wealth follows them. I started from zero at 22 and reached a serious financial point by 25. And let me be honest with you, the most valuable thing I learned on this journey wasn't an investment vehicle. It was an understanding of a system. This video is exactly about that, how the top 1% manages their money. Not theory, not vague advice. A concrete system you can implement this week. Let's get started. The fundamental principle. The problem isn't how much you earn. Before entering the system, this idea needs to be completely settled. Your income is not your problem. Your system is your problem, or rather, your lack of a system. More than 60% of Americans earning six-figure incomes are still living paycheck to paycheck. They earn more than most people in the country. They should be building wealth effortlessly. Instead, they are just stuck in the same cycle with nicer furniture. How is this possible? Because spending expands to fill the available income. Without a system that directs money before you see it, lifestyle swallows everything. The raise disappears, the bonus flies away. The side income is consumed. You grow your life to match everything you earn, and the margin never appears. The top 1% avoids this trap not because they are smarter or more disciplined. They avoid it because they use systems that automate good decisions. They structure their finances so that the right things happen without requiring willpower, attention, or daily choices. Today, I am giving you exactly that. A structure, a rule, a way to make wealth building automatic instead of a longing. The framework, the 155-02015 rule. Here is the system divided into 4 buckets covering every dollar you earn. You've probably heard of other rules before. 50 minus 30 minus 20, the 15th of October 75, and so on. They all try to solve the same problem, but most make a critical mistake. They either skimp on investing, completely ignore the emergency fund, or combine things in ways that allow for uncontrolled lifestyle creep. The 155-02015 rule fixes this. It treats both your future wealth and your financial stability as non-negotiable priorities, while also leaving you real room to enjoy life. Every bucket has a purpose. Nothing is left to chance. 15% goes to your future investments that grow over time. 50% goes to mandatory expenses, the real cost of maintaining your life. 20% goes to lifestyle things that make life enjoyable without derailing your finances. 15% goes to the stability fund, the cushion that protects everything else. 155-02015. Every dollar has a job before it even enters your account. Nothing sits aimlessly. Nothing is accidentally absorbed by lifestyle creep. Let's break down every bucket, and I'll show you exactly how to apply it. The first 15%, paying your future self. This is the money that works while you sleep. The money that grows through compounding. The money that eventually makes working optional. Most people treat investing as something that happens with the leftovers. After the bills, after the lifestyle, after the unexpected expenses, whatever is left supposedly goes to the future, which means nothing goes to the future because nothing is ever left. I lived this myself. The salary would come, I'd look at the end of the month, and there was nothing left for savings. It felt like that was the system, but the system was completely backwards. The top 1% flips this entirely. When income arrives, the first money to move is the money that goes directly into investments before it even sits in the account looking spendable. First, not last. Before lifestyle can consume it. Here is the mathematical reason why this is so important. Someone who invests $300 a month at age 25 will have roughly $1,200,000 by 65, assuming average market returns. Someone who waits until 35 and invests the same amount monthly ends up with about $500,000. A 10-year delay costs more than $700,000. The difference isn't the monthly amount, it's time. Compound growth is exponential. Early money has decades to multiply. Late money has almost no time to grow. Every year you delay is an advantage you can never get back. Where does this 15% go? Start with tax-advantaged accounts. In 2026, you can contribute up to $24,500 annually to a 401k, with an additional $8,000 catch-up contribution if you're over 50. For a Roth IRA, the limit is $7,500, with an extra $1,100 if you're 50 or older. If your employer offers a 401k match, that is free money, 100% return on your investment before it even grows. Maximize whatever they will match before doing anything else. After that, prioritize a Roth IRA. The money goes in after tax, but grows completely tax-free. When you withdraw it in retirement, you pay nothing on the gains. Peter Thiel grew his Roth IRA to over $5 billion, and he will pay zero tax when he withdraws it. After maximizing tax-advantaged accounts, additional investments go into a regular taxable brokerage account. What do you invest in? Keep it simple. An index fund that tracks the total stock market or the S&P 500, no expertise required, no stock picking, no market timing. You are buying a small share in hundreds of companies at once. Historically, these funds have provided an average 10% annual return over long periods. Set up automatic monthly purchases and let compound growth do its job. The key is automation. The moment your paycheck arrives, 15% should be automatically transferred. You never even see it. Never have to decide if this month is a good month to invest. The system handles it without your intervention. The second 50%, the things you actually need to survive. A maximum of half your income goes to things that keep life functioning. Housing, bills, groceries, transportation, insurance, minimum debt payments, the basic cost of existence. Notice what is not on the list. Restaurants, entertainment, subscriptions, shopping, new clothes, beyond the basics. These are not necessities. These are lifestyle and belong to a different bucket with a fixed limit. Most people constantly blur this line. They say eating out is mandatory because they have to eat. They classify the gym membership as mandatory because health is important. They count streaming services as mandatory because what else would they do? This is my favorite part, the excuses everyone makes. This is how 50% becomes 65, then 70. Then you wonder why, despite earning good money, there's nothing left for savings. The 50% ceiling forces honesty. It requires you to actually distinguish between what keeps you alive and what keeps you comfortable. Comfort is perfectly fine. It just comes from a different bucket with a fixed limit. How do you make this work? First, audit your actual spending. Most people have no idea where the money goes. Pull 3 months of bank statements and categorize every transaction. The resulting picture will likely be uncomfortable, and that discomfort is exactly the point. Second, identify the 2 categories that carry the most weight: housing and transportation. These are typically the largest expenses and where lifestyle creep does the most damage. Housing should ideally stay below 25 to 30% of your income. In expensive cities, this might require roommates, a longer commute, or a smaller space than you'd prefer. The discomfort is temporary. The financial margin it creates is permanent. Transportation is the silent wealth killer. The average new car payment in 2026 exceeds $770 a month. Add insurance, gas, maintenance, and parking, and you're looking at over $1,000 a month for a depreciating asset. By used, by reliable, by something that gets you from point A to point B. The millionaire next door drives a Toyota, not a BMW. The status you're trying to project with an expensive car impresses people who don't matter, while robbing your future self of compound growth. Honestly, I've thought about this a lot, and every time I reached the same conclusion. A car was never an investment, it's just a tool with a visible expense. Third, eliminate the waste you don't see. Audit subscriptions ruthlessly. Cancel everything you haven't used in 30 days. Negotiate bills, internet, insurance, phone plans, switch to cheaper alternatives where they are functionally identical. The goal isn't deprivation, it's intention. Know exactly how much your mandatory expenses are. Keep them at or below 50%. Protect the margin that funds everything else. The third 20% lifestyle that doesn't derail you. This is where most financial advice goes wrong. It treats every non-essential expense as a problem to be eliminated. It creates a framework of deprivation that feels like punishment. Then, people abandon the whole system because saving feels pointless if life has no joy. The top 1% doesn't live like monks. They spend money on things they enjoy. They just do it within defined boundaries that protect their long-term goals. 20% of your income goes to lifestyle. Restaurants, entertainment, vacations, hobbies, the gym, coffee shops, clothes, beyond the basics, everything that makes life enjoyable but isn't strictly necessary for survival. This isn't an afterthought. It's a built-in component of the system. Pre-planned guilt-free spending. Why does this matter? because restriction without a release valve leads to an explosion. Research consistently shows that people who include small indulgences in their financial plans stick to those plans much longer than people who try to eliminate all discretionary spending. The psychology is like a diet. Extreme restriction leads to binging. Sustainable approaches include room for treats. The 20% gives you that space. It's not unlimited. It's not reckless, but it's real. Eating out with friends, trips, hobbies that cost money, you can enjoy all of these, knowing they aren't derailing your financial future. The key is to separate this money visually. Consider a dedicated account for lifestyle spending. When the paycheck comes, 20% automatically transfers to this account. That is your spending money for the month. When it's gone, it's gone. You wait until the next month. This structure does two things. First, the spending feels guilt-free because you know the other buckets are already funded. Second, it creates a natural boundary that prevents lifestyle from expanding beyond what the system can support. Prioritize experiences over things. Vacations create memories. Social events strengthen relationships. Hobbies build skills and reduce stress. Physical objects provide a burst of initial excitement that fades into diminishing satisfaction. The top 1% tends to spend on things that appreciate relationships, health, personal growth compared to material goods that lose value the moment they are acquired. Their 20% goes further because it's directed at things that actually increase the quality of life. The final 15%, the stability that protects everything. This is the money most people skip. The cushion, the emergency fund, the margin of safety that prevents years of progress from being wiped out. Without this buffer, everything becomes fragile. One job loss, one medical bill, one car breakdown, and suddenly you're liquidating investments at a bad time, accumulating credit card debt, and watching the system collapse because there was no shock absorber. 15% of your income goes toward building and maintaining a stability fund equal to 5 months of mandatory expenses. Not total expenses, mandatory expenses, the 50% buckets we talked about earlier. If your necessities are $2,000 a month, your stability fund goal is $10,000. If $3,000 works, you're aiming for $15,000. Why 5 months? Because real emergencies are rarely solved quickly. A job search takes time. Medical recovery takes time. Crises that actually threaten financial stability don't resolve in a few weeks. 5 months gives you real breathing room to solve problems without panicking. Where does this money live? In 2026, in a high-yield savings account paying 4 to 5% APY, easily accessible through online banks. Not the 0.07% your traditional bank offers, and not in the stock market where the value could be down exactly when you need it. High-yield savings is accessible within 24 hours. Liquid, and earns meaningful interest while it waits. There are 3 rules for the stability fund. First, it must be easy to access. No accounts with withdrawal penalties or waiting periods. You need speed when emergencies arrive. Second, there must be zero risk. This isn't growth money. This is protection money. The stock market doesn't belong here. Neither does crypto or anything else that fluctuates in value. Third, it must earn something. Parking cash in a zero-interest account means inflation erodes it over time. A high-yield savings account solves this. Your stability fund grows modestly while remaining completely liquid and risk-free. Once you reach your stability fund goal, that 15% can be redirected toward growth, more investments, and accelerated wealth building. But until that cushion exists, it takes priority. Making the system automatic. The top 1% doesn't rely on willpower. They don't make monthly decisions about how much to save or invest. They build systems that execute automatically. Then they focus their attention on earning more. Here is how you apply the 15502015 rule without ongoing effort. On the day your paycheck arrives, automatic transfers should already be scheduled. 15% goes directly to investment accounts. 15% goes to the high-yield savings account for your stability fund. 20% goes to a separate lifestyle spending account. Whatever is left, the 50% remains in checking for necessities. You never even see the full paycheck sitting in your account as spendable. When you log in, the money is already allocated. The decision was made in advance. The system was executed without your attention. This is how wealthy people manage money. Not through constant vigilance, but through architecture that makes good choices automatic. Set it up once, checking in every 3 months to make sure the percentages still make sense. Otherwise, forget it and focus on the only thing that really matters. Increasing your income. The shift from spending to owning. This is what truly separates the top 1% from everyone else. It's not the specific percentages. It's not the tax strategies. It's a fundamental shift in how they think about money. Most people earn money to spend. They work so they can afford things. Their financial lives are cycles of earning and consumption, with guilt-filled attempts to save what remains from time to time. The wealthy earn money to own. Not physical things, but assets, investments, Pieces of businesses, income-producing property that grows over time and eventually produces money without requiring additional work. Every dollar put into an index fund buys ownership in hundreds of companies. Those companies have employees, they work, they sell products, they accumulate profits, all of which increase the value of your ownership share while you sleep. This is what putting your money to work really means. It's not a vague cliche, it's a realistic description of what happens when you own assets that appreciate. The 15% going to your future self isn't disappearing, it's buying ownership. Year after year, that ownership accumulates. Eventually, the income from what you own exceeds the income from what you do. That is financial independence. That is how the top 1% actually becomes the 1%. Very few wealthy people reached riches through saving alone. They got there by owning things that grew faster than they could earn through labor. The principle of acceleration. Income matters too. The 155-02015 rule works at every income level. Someone earning $50,000 a year can apply it. Someone earning $500,000 can apply the same percentages. But let's be honest, the person earning $500,000 will build wealth faster simply because the dollar amounts are larger. That's why the final piece of the system isn't about allocation, it's about acceleration. Once your system is running automatically, your focus must shift to increasing your income, negotiate your salary, develop skills that command premium rates, build side income, start a business, find ways to increase the stake. The 15% going into investments doesn't care if it came from a raise, a side hustle, or a business you built. It just needs to grow. And if lifestyle stays fixed while income rises, the percentages become even more powerful. Someone earning $100,000 using this system invests $15,000 a year. If they double their income to $200,000 while keeping lifestyle fixed, they are now investing $30,000 a year, plus whatever additional percentages they can carve out from the extra income. This is where wealth accelerates. Systems build the foundation. Income growth provides the fuel. Both are important, neither is sufficient alone. Here is the core of it all. Every principle in this video: automatic allocation, tax-advantaged accounts, the emergency fund, compound growth, lifestyle boundaries, the ownership mindset rests on one fundamental issue: financial literacy. The reason most people don't manage money like the top 1% isn't laziness, it isn't irresponsibility. It's that no one ever taught them how money actually works. School didn't cover it. Parents likely didn't understand it themselves. The knowledge that separates the wealth builders from the paycheck earners simply wasn't passed down. I didn't have this knowledge early on either, and when I found it, it was so simple but also so transformative. That's why I started this channel. That's why I made this video. I've prepared a complete breakdown of financial literacy, covering everything school skipped: how debt compounds against you, how credit scores are calculated and why they matter, how retirement accounts create tax advantages most people never use, how to set up systems that automate good decisions so you don't have to rely on willpower alone. The link is right here. If anything in this video felt like information you should have learned years ago, that video fills the gaps. Because the truth is, the 155-02015 rule only works when you understand why every piece matters. The wealthy didn't stumble into good habits. They learned how money functions and then designed their lives around that knowledge. You can have the same understanding, you can build the same systems, you can manage your money like the top 1%. Even if you're starting from zero, even if you're starting late, even if everything you've done until now is the exact opposite of what this video recommends. The past doesn't determine the future, your system does. Set up the automatic transfers this week. Open the accounts you don't have yet. Start the 15%, even if it feels uncomfortable. Before we wrap up, we need to talk about the silent killer of wealth, the invisible tax. In 2026, simply saving money isn't enough. With global inflation trends and a 3.3% CPI, cash sitting in a standard bank account is essentially melting. This is why the system isn't a suggestion. It's a survival mechanism. If your money isn't growing at a rate higher than inflation, you are technically getting poorer while working harder. The system ensures you stay ahead of the curve. Then there is the concept of opportunity cost. Most people see a $1,000 purchase as just $1,000. The top 1% sees it as the $5,000 it would have been 10 years from now if invested. Every time you spend from your lifestyle bucket, you are making a trade-off. You are trading a piece of your future freedom for a current convenience. This doesn't mean you shouldn't spend, but it means you should spend with your eyes wide open to the true cost. Lastly, remember that your greatest asset isn't your portfolio, it's your earning capacity. In a 2026 economy driven by AI and specialized skills, the leverage you have as an individual is unprecedented. Use a portion of your 20% lifestyle fund to invest in your own education. Buy the course, attend the seminar, or get the equipment that makes you 10 times more productive. When you increase your skill level, you shorten the time it takes to reach your financial goals. Wealth is a game of math and psychology. The 15502015 rule handles the math, but you have to handle the psychology. It's about moving from a consumer mindset to a producer mindset. Producers look for ways to create value and own assets. Consumers look for ways to trade their time for temporary objects. The moment you decide to become a producer, your bank account starts to reflect a different reality. This is how you break the cycle and build a legacy that lasts for generations. Build the stability fund. Limit the lifestyle to 20%. A year from now, you'll be in a completely different position. 5 years from now, the compounding effects will be undeniable. 20 years from now, you'll understand exactly how wealth that looks impossible from the outside was built. It was never a secret. It was always a system. Now you have one. Let's go, my friends. If you've watched this far, I want to thank you, my friend. I hope I was able to provide some value to you. Our journey is a long one. If you find my videos helpful, feel free to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Take care of yourself.